ordinary import or for consumption, is in Decree 1165 of 2019 in Article 173. And the definition of ordinary import is the introduction of goods of foreign origin to the national customs territory with the purpose of remaining there indefinitely in free disposal, with the payment of the custom taxes that may be applicable and following the established procedures. This procedure implies a declaration, which must be made by the importer, and we understand that the importer is one who performs the import operation. For example, when we import machinery into the country from France for use, complying with all current customs obligations, or when we import computers for commercialization from the United States, paying the customs duties established for this import. Opportunity to testify, and the import declaration must be submitted within the term provided for in Article 171 of this decree, or in advance of the arrival of the goods, no more than 15 calendar days in advance. This article mentions that the merchandise may remain in storage while the procedures to obtain its release are carried out up to a term of 1 month, contained from the date of its arrival to the national customs territory. Additionally, it may be extended for up to 1 more month. This import declaration must be submitted to the Customs or Tax and Customs Sectional Directorate with jurisdiction over the place where the goods are located. For example, if the merchandise is located in Bogota, I must present the import declaration in the city and not in another. The document supporting the import declaration, and the declarant is obligated to obtain before the presentation and acceptance of the declaration and to keep for a period of 5 years from that date the original of the documents that he must make available to the customs authority when this is required. And documents are the registration or import licensing covering the goods where applicable, and the commercial invoice where applicable, and the transport document, and the proof of original indicate in the respective commercial agreement, and the documents relating to the conditions of direct shipment, transit, and transit shipment where applicable, or certification of non-preferential origin where required, and the health certificate and those other documents required by special rules when applicable, and the packaging list where applicable, and the other document import for certificate this merchandise. Reasons for not accepting the import declaration. The Customs Office validates the consistency of the data provided in the declaration presented before it is accepted, and informs the declarant of any discrepancies noted that do not allow acceptance. The import declaration will not be accepted, for example, when the import declaration has been presented after the deadline established in Article 171 of this decree. This article said 1 month, established at 1 month. And when the import declaration is submitted to a sectional directorate of customs or of taxes and customs different from the one having jurisdiction over the place where the goods are located, and when the liquidation of the custom duties carried out by the declarant is different from the one carried out by the customs through the electronic computer services based on the data provided by the declarant. Also, when the import declaration does not contain data and codes such as the import modality and the NIT, or in Spanish is NIT, of the importer and declarant, country of origin of the goods, tariff subhidden, description, quantity, value of the goods, custom duties, and preferential treatment of acquirer. When from the information provided by the declarant, it is inferred that the declarant merchandise is not covered by the supporting documents referred to in Article 177 of this decree as appropriate. When the name of the declarant is different from that of the consignee of the transport document and the corresponding endorsement power of attorney of mandate is not accredited, and also when the custom agency is not authorized to act in the jurisdiction where the import declaration is being lodged. The acceptance of the declaration is the contrary. So the import declaration can be accepted for the effects foreseen of this decree. In this way, the customs authority makes the corresponding validation and will assign a number and date. After presenting and accepting the import declarations, custom duties and penalties must be paid if applicable. These payments must be made through the banks or financial entities authorized by the DIAN within the established period, that is 1 month after arrival in the national customs territory or within the period to present the advance import declaration, correction declaration, legalization declaration, modification declaration, or consolidated payment declaration. The value to be paid for each of the custom duties and penalties set in the custom declarations must be close to the closest multiple of 1,000. The payment of the import declarations that are presented for the operation of exit of free zone to the rest of the national customs territory must be made at the latest within the 2 months following the date of presentation and acceptance of the same, otherwise a new declaration must be processed. After the payment of custom duties, a physical or documentary inspection is carried out or the automatic release of the goods is authorized. This physical or documentary inspection must have the presence of the declarant, who must provide the necessary assistance and make available the original document that support what the goods are. The duration of the inspection should not exceed the day immediately following and should be carried out continuously. It may take longer than 1 day unless a longer period is required for justified reasons. In addition, the customs authority is entitled to take samples of the goods when it considers it necessary to do so, in order to determine the nature, tariff classification, condition of the goods, or to ensure the application of other provisions. Samples of goods of animals and plants origin shall also be taken by the sanitary and phytosanitary authorities when they consider it necessary in accordance with their regulations. Finally, the leave authorizations release of the goods shall be authorized if after immediate verification no discrepancies are found between the information declared and that verified. The release of the goods shall also be authorized if any discrepancies have been found and have been rectified. The withdrawal of the goods will take place after authorized release by the customs authority, so the declarant or authorized person must deliver the import declaration to the authorized warehouse where the goods are located, so it can only be delivered the goods for which it has been authorized to release. The import declaration will become final after 3 years from the day of its presentation and acceptance unless a special customs invitation has been notified. Thank you.
Export of samples with no commercial value. Application for boarding authorization and corresponding declaration. The application for boarding authorization and the corresponding declaration shall be processed in the manner provided for in this decree for definitive export, with a single shipment and definitive date. Requirements for the purposes of the export procedure, goods declared as such is considered a value with samples with no commercial value. Choose a total FOB value does not exceed the amount indicated by the Special Administrative Note Unit of the National Tax and Custom Direct DIAN in a resolution. These exports of a sample with no commercial value made directly by the National Federation of Coffee, Growers or by ProColombia, shall not be subject to the amount established in accordance with the previous paragraph. Um, the exceptions, the following products may not the export in the front of the samples of the commercial value. In this case is coffee, emeralds, articles manufactured from precious metals, gold and its alloys, platinum and metal of the platinum groups, goldsmith ashes and gold waste or scrap, mineral products with gold concentrates and silver and platinum, the human plasma, the human organs, narcotics and products used for its provided, and such as goods that are part of the Arctic historical and archaeological and heritage of the nation. Um, the export of coffee samples by the National Federations of Coffee Growers or exports of this product under export programs authorization by the Federation are not covered by the provision laid down here. And the good views. In the good views, the exports of samples with no commercial value of products subject to a goodwill, they shall comply with this requirement at the time of submissions of the application for boarding authorization without prejudice to the application for provision of the Article 349 in this decree. In this example, the companies that export and give samples as gift that are not allowed to sold, but are made to make their products known and attract buyers. And in this case, is an example the Vernell brand.
Hello everyone. Today I will be talking about definite export. This can be found in Charter 2 and 2 Article 346. Okay, definition. This is the modality that regulates the aids and national goods or nationalized goods from the national custom territory or free zones of the countries. A continue procedure for the export. It begins with the submission and acceptance of the request for authorization to board. After the export has the shipment authorization and continue the inspection, the goods load and the certification of boarding by the carrier. After the export shall send the export certificate to Diane. Continue. Boarding authorization records. The record is submitted electronically to Diane and the section where the goods are located. The application can be submitted and single shipment with final or partial date, or the application may also the shipment as a split shipment with final or partial date. But this is the very important. All documentation record for the goods must be kept by the exporter for a minimum period of 5 years. It's very important. It's 5 years. Continue. Grounds for not accepting authorization to board. When the records for treatment is submitted, the DIAN will be obligated to report why the requisite is rejected and what the correction the exporter will have to make, such as, for example, where the application is loan and custom office other that having custom jurisdiction at the place where the goods are located. Other example is when the move of export is different, when ICA or INVIMA provide if record. Other is when the goods are not described, or where the weight or quality for value of food is not described in dollars. Another action that are set out in the article 349. Continue. Accepting and duration of the boarding authorization. The custom authority shall send a report to exporting by electronic means informing the accepting of the application and explaining that it's valid for 1 month from day of accepting. After this month, you will have to replace a continuum transfer to the primary custody area. After I get the boarding authorization, the exporter must transfer the goods to primary custom zone or free zone, depending of where they instead to leave the national custom territory. Entry of goods into primary custom zone. The goods will be brought into the primary zone or free zone depending on the exporter where deposit made. The DIAN will be informed. The DIAN is responsible for determining the primary area, which will depend on whether the goods leave the country by, for example, land or sea or air. If the shipment is not ready, the goods are stored in warehouse or arranged by the DIAN only for the time specified in the authorization bar. It's only for the specific the authorization bar. Continue. Custom inspection. The custom authorities may carry out inspection of the goods in documentary or physical form. The custom authority has a maximum period of time until the following date for the inspection of the goods. If it's longer, the DIAN will have to report the move. Inspection in secondary custom area. The exporter may record that the inspection be carried out in the area another than the primary one. These records must be made where it's explained why the inspection should be carried out in another area. For example, because of the deterioration of the goods, or for example, because the goods are highly dangerous. A continuum is boarding. It is the operation of loading of the goods in the transport in which it carried out it's from the custom territory. If the operation is to be carried out at a different custom office, the exporter must submit an application to the custom office where the embarkation permit is issued so that they can authorize a permit in which the goods can be moved to other custom port, through which they intend to live. Once in the new custom port, an inspection will be carried out again. Certification of the shipment. Uh, the carrier will send the car manifest to the DIAN electronically. The DIAN will verify the manifest and determine if the merchandise that is shipped is the same that is shown in the manifest, and if the DIAN determine that is okay to finish the process by is the DIAN determined. Any consistent the transport will have 24 hours to modify the manifested. In the case of, for example, free zone, the certification, the certification of embarkation is not necessary and will only be carried out with the authorization of embarkation. Okay, by last, final declaration of export. After completing the above step, the export declaration shall be submitted electronically to the DIAN. Okay, thank you teacher and classmate for listening to me.